Welcome to day 13 of the 30-day chair yoga challenge. Today our class is going to be focused on balance. So you might want to have a strap nearby. You could use a belt. If you don't have that, it's okay. It's going to be optional in some of the things we're doing. So if you do have it, set it aside for just a minute. Let's come into mountain pose by aligning the knees over the ankles, the shoulders over the hips, drawing in the rib cage and lengthening through the spine and the back of the neck. Start to breathe naturally, and then deepen the breath as you continue to breathe, as you continue to inhale and exhale. Today we're going to warm up a little bit differently than we have in some of our other classes. So begin by letting the hands drop down to either side. On the inhale, bring the arms up. They can come to here with the palms facing up, or they can come over the head and you might lift the gaze. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward, reaching down for the toes. Inhale, come halfway up, and exhale, fold down. Inhale, come all the way up. We're going to come forward on our seat, stick our feet out in front of us, and lift up our arms to wherever they come. And exhale, bring the hands down, round through the spine, and come back to a tall mountain pose. Drop the hands to the side. So this is a version of sun salutation. Inhale, bring the hands up. Gaze might follow. Exhale, fold forward, reaching down towards the toes. Inhale, come halfway up. And exhale, fold back down. Inhale, come all the way up. Arch the spine, bring the feet out. And exhale, bring the feet back in, round through the spine. And come back to center. Let's do this one more time. Inhale. Lifting the chest, maybe the arms come above the head, maybe not. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look forward, coming halfway up. And exhale, fold back down. Inhale, come all the way up, bringing the feet out, arching the spine, and exhale, round through the spine. Come back to center. Now from here, we're going to twist over to one side, so just bringing the hands one in front of the other on the leg over to the side, or bringing one arm behind you with the elbow crossing over the back of the chair. Come over to the other side. So if you started with the right, bring the left hand back, right hand forward. Option 2 is to bring the hands to the side and twist a little deeper. Option 3 is to do the deepest version of the twist. Great job. Now we're going to move into some seated poses, and then we're going to do the majority of our practice standing to work on our balance. So to start off, we're going to do a tree pose, and we'll start with the right leg, stepping it in towards the center of our chair. The left leg has several options. So we can bring the sole of our foot and just touch it to the side of the right foot. We can cross the left foot over the right foot, or we can lift the left foot, flexing the ankle, and set it just above the right knee. If we do this, there's an option to just stay here, or there's an option to press the knee down. So all of these are great positions if you want to take them. Choose the version of the pose that feels best for you. And we're just going to sit nice and tall wherever we are. Options for the hands are to bring the hands to heart center. We might bring them up with elbows bent, or we might open the hands and straighten the elbows. Breathe. Lengthen up. Sit up a little bit taller than you were before. And let the hands come down. Let the legs come down. Switch sides, so walk that right leg out, walk the left leg in. Take the right foot, several options. You can touch the sole of the right foot to the side of the left foot. You can cross the right foot over the left foot, or you can lift that leg all the way up, flexing that ankle to protect the knee, and drop the knee down. Options for the arms, you can keep the hands down on the legs, you can come to heart center, you can start to rise up over the head, or you can lift all the way up and open the arms. Take the version of the arms that feels best for your body. Breathe. Maybe sit up just a little bit taller than you were sitting before. We're working on the balance here. Okay. Allow the hands to come down. Allow the leg to come down. Shake out the feet a little bit. And let's move to standing. So to start out, I want you to grab a block. If you don't have a yoga block, there's a couple options. You could take a really firm blanket and fold it into, I guess, fourths or fifths. Just fold it into a really tight fold. You could take a shoe box, that would work great. Something like that, something that is firm that you can use for this next exercise. So I'll give you a minute to go grab that, and I'll show you what we've got coming next. If you already have something like that, then stand up. We're going to take our block, or whatever we're using as a block, and we're just going to put it in between our legs on the narrowest side. And then look down at your feet. This is a really great way to get into postural alignment and help us with our balancing poses. You want to have your second toes pointing forward. And then as you stand here, roll the shoulders back, stand up nice and tall, and start to squeeze the legs together. Squeezing the legs together is going to help your whole body come into alignment. So once you've found your alignment, just stand here for a moment. If it's hard to balance just standing here, you can always bring your chair in front of you and grab onto the back of the chair to help you balance. Breathe. Find a gaze point that's ahead of you, maybe on the wall somewhere, or on the ceiling, on the floor, several feet ahead of you. Just find somewhere that you can look that feels comfortable. Now, remove the block, set it aside, and just stand up nice and tall. Observe how you feel. Now, as we do our standing postures, I want you to remember that. We're going to take our chair and move it. We're going to set it up so that it's about a foot in front of us so that we can stand nice and tall and hold it, but that we can still have some movement in front of our legs. Do what you did when seated. Step the feet apart 4 to 6 inches or about hip width apart. So where your hip bones are, we're trying to have the feet directly below the hip bones. Look forward, holding onto the chair. Take a couple breaths. If you feel really comfortable, you can let go of the chair here. Just know that it's always there for you if you need it. Now we're going to start by rocking back and forth and forward and backwards. We're kind of feeling out our balance. We want to make sure that we have even pressure going into the ball of the foot on either sides and into the heel. Now start to inhale and lean forward as we lift the heels up. It's okay if you just come up a little. We're trying to rise up on the ball of our foot, lifting our heels off the floor. And exhale, we're going to start to drop back down. Inhale, we're going to start to lift the toes now, just the toes. If you feel comfortable lifting the toes, you might lift the ball of the foot barely. And drop back down. Rocking forward, we're going to lift off the heels, pressing into the ball of the foot. And exhale, come back down. We're going to do several of those. So go at your own pace, switching between rocking up onto the ball of the foot, lifting the toes, and rocking up, lifting the heels. Just pay attention to how this feels. See, maybe you can hover the hands. See if you can control yourself coming up and down without touching the chair. Just get a feel for where your balance is currently. Okay, let's do one more wherever you're at. And re-find your center. Now we're going to lean over to the right side. We're centering the balance and the weight onto the right, and we're just going to lift up the left foot and swing it back and forth. Now see if you can do that without holding onto the chair, if it feels comfortable for you. Great job. Now we're going to take this foot, left foot, and we're going to bring the knee up. You can keep the toes on the ground if that's what feels good for you, or you can begin to lift the knee up. So lift the knee as high as you're comfortable, and we're just going to hold here and breathe. It's a little bit of a strength exercise, but it's also mostly balance. Okay, let that foot come back down. Shake it out a little bit. Step the foot back and then lean forward. We're stretching out this muscle in the hip flexor. We're going to do that in between each balance. Just do a little bit of a stretch. Okay, step that foot back in, and we're going to bring the weight over the left foot. So first, bring the weight over, and then just start to hover the right foot, floating it back and forth. You might lift the hands to see where your balance is at. And when you're ready, start to lift that foot up. You might keep the toes on the ground, lifting the right foot all the way up. Okay, hold here and breathe. It's okay if your foot's just a couple inches off the ground. The focus isn't on how high you can lift your knee, it's on how well you can balance when your foot is lifted. If you want, if you feel really stable and steady, you can lift the fingers off the chair and hover them. See how the balance is on this side. And then when you're ready, bring that foot down. Let's step the right foot back and then lean forward, getting a little bit of a stretch. Okay, step that foot back in. Here's a moment where it might be nice to have the strap. There's two options here. You can just take your hand, if that works for you, and reach down and grab around your ankle so that you can get a little bit of a stretch through the front of your leg. You could grab onto your pants. You could use the strap or a belt. If you're using the strap or the belt, it just gives you a little bit more space to get the same stretch. Just gives you a little bit more extension. So take a chance to stretch the front of that left leg and then set it down, and we'll move to the other side. So set up on the other side. I'll show you the options again. You can just grab the leg, get a stretch that way. You could grab the hem of your pants or the cuff of your pants, or you can use a strap, get it wrapped around the ankle and just lift up to get that same stretch with a little bit more extension. This is a good balance too. Wherever you are, make sure that you hold both sides evenly. Get a good stretch. And then you can set that strap aside. Shake it out. And we're going to do the same thing, only going backwards now. So bring the weight over the right side, start to hover the left foot, and then we're going to lift the left foot up. So not trying to get a stretch, but trying to get a balance. It doesn't have to be too high. Making sure that we keep our weight centered, making sure that we're lifting it high enough that we feel challenged, but we don't feel like we're going to fall down. Now, if you're comfortable here, you might hover the hands for a minute. Breathe. Your body should make small adjustments, that's normal. And then bring the hands down, bring the foot down, shake out the legs. Let's go to the other side. So bringing the weight over the left side, hover the right foot, and then lift the right foot back. Find your balance here. If you're not comfortable hovering both hands, you might hover one hand first to see how it feels. If you feel comfortable, you might lift both hands off the chair for a moment. Breathe. Just let your body adjust, let the foot adjust where it needs to keep you balanced. Bring the hands down, bring the foot down, shake it out. Now we're going to move into a little bit more advanced balance pose. So to start out, we're just going to do an adapted version of downward dog. To do this, we're going to wrap our hands around the chair, make sure we've got a good grip on it, and we'll start to walk backwards. We can move this block out of the way. If you have a block, just set it aside. Start to step backwards, hinging at the hips. If you can't do this because of your shoulders, you can flip your chair around and just set the hands on the seat of the chair. That way you can step back without putting too much pressure on the shoulders, and you can bend the elbows. So that's another version. If you're using the back of the chair, you'll just let the arms stay straight and start to let them stretch out in front of you. You can bend the knees here as well. This has the option of giving you a really good shoulder stretch. Also stretches out your back really well. You can bend the knees or keep the knees straight. You can sway from side to side if you want, bicycling the legs. This is just a good stretch to set us up for what's coming next. Now we've done Warrior 1 and Warrior 2. Now we're going to do Warrior 3. So walk back up to your chair. Find your tall mountain pose that we set up at the beginning of this practice. And now take a couple steps back. We should have 2 to 2.5 feet between us and the chair. From here, we're going to hinge forward at the hips. We're still holding on to that chair. And now we're going to bring the weight into the right foot, and we're going to start to slide the left foot back, keeping the leg straight. You can stop here with the toe still touching the ground, or you can start to lift that foot off the ground into Warrior 3. The standing leg should be straight, so if you're just an inch off the ground, that's wonderful. So this is going to be a lot harder. We need to lean forward with the torso in order to lift the leg up and still be balanced. If you need to, you can bring a slight bend into the knee, or you can keep it straight. Whatever feels better for your body. You might experiment with that. Now from here, you can bring the opposite arm up in front of you if you want to test your balance. If you want to really challenge yourself and you feel really stable, you might hover both the hands above the chair for a moment. Okay, bring that foot back down, shake it out, step the right foot back and stretch forward, stretch back into that hip, so we're stretching a little bit diagonally towards the right so that we really get into the hip. Come back together and we're going to do the opposite side. So bring your weight over the left foot, start to hover the right foot, and slide the right foot back until just the toe is touching. From here we're going to hinge at the hips, leaning the torso forward. We might lift the right foot off the ground and balance. Remember, the higher the foot goes, the lower the torso has to go to counterbalance. Breathe. You might play with bending the knee or straightening the knee. Also an option to take the opposite hand and start to stretch it forward. Option, if you're really brave and feel steady enough, to hover the hands and see where your balance is at. Take one more breath here. And slowly come back down. Shake out the legs. Step that left foot back and lean forward. And then lean over into the hip. Get a good stretch. Take a breath here. You might close the eyes while holding onto the chair. Now, setting the chair aside for just a minute, give yourself a line to walk in. We're going to do one more balancing exercise. This is especially good if you don't feel steady on your feet or aren't comfortable getting on the ground and then standing back up. This is really good for coordination. So we're just going to take one foot and set it directly in front of the other and try to walk in a straight line. It'll help to keep the eyes looking forward, help to engage the muscles or activate the muscles in the legs, in the abs, in the arms, and you can bring the arms out to the side or you can keep them down. Just look straight ahead and know that your feet will know how to find each other. So one step at a time, touching the heel to the toes of the opposite foot. And just walk in a straight line. When you've gotten to the end of your line, turn around and go back in the opposite direction. Heel to toe, and heel to toe. We'll go one more time in both directions. Make sure you're breathing. For some, it might be easy to touch heel to toe. For others, you might not get there fully, and that's okay. This is really just a way to gauge where you're at and what you'd like to work on. Last time. Okay, now come back to your chair and set yourself up for Shavasana. Today I'm just going to do my Shavasana in the chair without props, but if you'd like to grab anything right now, if you'd like to grab a pillow or a blanket, something to prop your feet up on, it could even be another chair, you're welcome to do that now. Allow your muscles to relax. Allow yourself to move into a comfortable seated position. You don't have to maintain alignment here. You can let your hands relax in your lap. You might let your chin drop. Just take a moment here to breathe. Let the breath begin to relax. Scan your body for any areas you might be holding tension. And as you find an area of tension, relax and release it on the exhale. You're welcome to pause the video here. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. Or if you're ready, begin to bring movement back into the fingers and toes. Do any final stretches that you feel like you might need before we end the practice. Come back into your mountain pose. If you'd like, bring hands to heart center. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me today. I'm excited to see where this challenge leads you. Enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow.